seated before you and joining us in the audience, who have come together to represent the state of Wisconsin and the leadership of the Wisconsin National Guard. Please hold your applause until everyone is introduced. Joining us today in the audience is Representative Ken Skowronski, Chairman of the Wisconsin Assembly Committee on Veterans Military Affairs. From Wisconsin's 6th Congressional District, Alex Dahlman, representing U.S. Congressman Glenn Grossman. Representing Wisconsin's 2nd Congressional District, U.S. Congressman Mark Pocan, Ms. Audra Conan. Representing U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin, Ms. Flora Casantos. And representing U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, Mr. Mark Nielsen. Seated on stage, the Senior Enlisted Advisor for the Wisconsin Air Guard, State Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Thomas Saber. The Commander of the Deploying Airmen and the 176th Fighter Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Bart Van Roo. The Adjutant General of Wisconsin, Major General Donald Dunbar. And the Governor of the State of Wisconsin, Scott Walker. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Bart Van Roo, the Detachment Commander for the 115th Theater Security Package to Korea.
Thank you, Kristen, and good morning. It's truly a humbling honor to stand before the airmen that are going to deploy on this TSP with me, and I'm feel very lucky to be part of the leadership team for you. This morning's all about this group over here on the left, though. It's really all about the families that are coming out to support us. And the group in the front and sitting on stage are really part of that support network that are here for you families. So I don't want to lose focus on what this event is all about. It's great to see everyone out here. As you can see, we have a vast extensive and now kind of long-running history of great community support, and our leadership, state, and wing is ready to support those families while we go. So first off, I do want to thank our state leadership and on stage, specifically Governor Walker and General Dunbar. Your continued leadership and vocal support of the fighter wing, not only now, but in the last 15 years, as well as every chance it seems that you have, you're advocating for us, whether it's this, F-35, or other endeavors that the wing has. All of us, as part of the wing and the families here, see that support and really can't thank you enough for it. So thank you very much. Next off, to our community members, to the specifically to the back board of directors for the organization you've done, to the new and current Fighter Wing honorary commanders, thank you for coming out and providing the support of the community that our families recognize that we certainly have. It's critically important, and we all understand you're behind us, so thank you again for coming this morning. To our families, for my own, this is 5th or 6th long deployment that we've been on, and as I look across this group, there's a vast difference, 5 or 6 deployments, long deployments, and many more in between, to a good percentage of airmen that this is their first deployment. It's unique in our wing and across the Air Force now compared to what it was when I started in 2001 as a pilot here, and we were deploying and everyone was going on their first deployment of this length. So I challenge the members and their families to help those new airmen and the new families that are involved in this, and vice versa. We have a network that's here to support you. If you're not engaged as a member, please take advantage of this time to talk with the wing leadership, our enlisted leadership that's here behind, and understand where you can plug in. We'll do everything as a leadership team over there to support your member, and please let us know back here if there's something that we can do to further support that. Thank you for coming out. This is a unique opportunity at a unique time for us to go to the Pacific, and your support means so much to let us mission focus. And that brings me to my last point. To the members deploying. Obviously, this TSP is part of a larger strategy that the DoD lays out, and everyone knew we were going to the Pacific region for several months before this. In the last 6 months, most of you deployed multiple times or participated in exercises like Northern Lightning and Red Flag to be ready to go for this exercise. Your continued readiness and focus is apparent by the reputation our wing has. I challenge you, when you hit the ground or when you get on that airplane, be ready, be focused. When we touch Korean soil, we need to be the unit who's ready from day one, and our 50 airmen already over there are setting the foundation for that. Mission focus is my only ask of you, and we'll provide the support for you to do that. General O'Shaughnessy, the PACAF commander, said the other day that this is the greatest time of regional stability challenge in a generation. It's a historic time to go. Stay focused, and I know our dedication to excellence will shine through as a unit. I pledge to give you all the support that you need while you're over there. Ensure that you let our leadership team know what you need while we're there, and we'll get to it. I know that as a wing, we have a reputation to uphold, and I expect the utmost professionalism while we're there. I want to thank you again for volunteering to go on this deployment, and I'll turn it over to our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Van Roo. Our next speaker represents the enlisted airmen of the Wisconsin Air National Guard, State Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Thomas Safer.
Well, good morning. You know, I can't express enough how proud I am of this organization. And I gotta tell you that being deployed with you in the past are some of my most favorite memories. I truly wish I could go with you today. And they let me on this airplane today, I would go in a blink of an eye. But unfortunately, there's no room for a crusty old command chief like me on this trip. Well, I'm not that crusty, but I can't go. But hopefully, I will be with you in spirit, and hopefully you can reflect on some of the things that we talked about briefly at your yellow ribbon. We talked about how important your mission is. We talked about how obviously critical each and every one of you is to this mission. We talked about how this is a golden opportunity for our first-time deployers to learn from the unique challenges downrange. And we talked about doing something positive with your free time and improve yourself in some way and come back to your deployment a little bit better off than when you left. You know, in my opinion, you are the best there is in our profession. And I know that you uphold the reputation and the legacy of excellence that the 115th Fighter Wing and the Wisconsin Air National Guard are known for. Now, you know, while I have your attention, I just want to tell you real quick about this coin that's been burning a hole in my pocket for the past 2 months. This is called the Airman to Airman coin. And it was developed by two airmen, actually a father and son, at the Air National Guard Readiness Center. The purpose of the coin is to be given to an airman for superior performance, and then in time for that airman to give to another airman for their superior performance, and so on and so on. And the coin is then tracked in Facebook, so you can see who owns the coin and what they got it for and all the different locations that the coin ends up. Well, this is coin number 4 of 100, and it was given to me by the 6th Command Chief of the Air National Guard, Chief Ed Brown. And I thought this would be the perfect occasion to give to a deserving airman today, because I think there'll be plenty of opportunities downrange to pay this coin forward. So would Staff Sergeant Jessica Rhodes please come up to the stage? Good morning, Jessica. Come on up here. So Staff Sergeant Jessica Rhodes is one savvy ammo troop, ladies and gentlemen. She builds bombs for a living. What do you think about that? Now, Jessica wasn't originally supposed to go on this deployment. She went last time. But one of her airmen, one of her wingmen, had a family issue and couldn't go. So Jessica here put her college semester on hold, raised her hand and said, "I'll go." which I think we all can agree that's pretty commendable. She was also recently recognized as a top performer for the first ever Air National Guard Ammo Rodeo that was held right up in Volk Field, which was a huge success. So Jessica, it's my honor to present this coin to you today. I want to thank you for all the wonderful things you've been doing for this organization and for the Wisconsin Air National Guard. And when the time is right, and you identify that special airman that you think is doing a great job and deserves this coin, you go ahead and pay it forward. I wish you all the best of luck and Godspeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Safer. It is now my honor to introduce the commander of the 10,000 men and women, soldiers and airmen of the Wisconsin National Guard, the Adjutant General of Wisconsin, Major General Don Dunbar.
Thank you. Good morning. So I want to start, if I can, with the families. I want to thank you for all of your support. You know, it can be confusing sometimes when your son or daughter joins the military. You understand why they're doing it. Maybe they're joining it for a sense of duty, or maybe someone in the family was in the military, or maybe college benefit, all kinds of reasons. But you may not always understand the purpose of the National Guard. Let me put a footnote on that for you. National Guard is a very unique organization, two missions. We're the primary combat reserve of the United States Air Force, and our Army Guard is the primary combat reserve of the United States Army, and we're the first military responder in the homeland. And so this force that we have out here at the 115th Fighter Wing plays an important role in the defense of our country. And your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, your father, your mother is about to embark on that first primary combat reserve of the United States Air Force. They've got a mission to do. Our nation needs us to go into the Pacific and train with our allies and assure our allies that they've got a great friend in the United States Air Force, because they surely do. And that they've got a great friend in the United States of America, because they surely do, because we're sending our best to be there for that mission. So I hope you're proud of them. I know I'm proud of them. And I can also, having talked to some of you this morning, I know that there's always that little pull, tug at your heart, because you're sending your loved one. Maybe it's your baby, and while I see a strong, jumping airman, maybe you're seeing that 2-year-old many years ago. And I've been asked by a couple, do you promise they'll come home? So here's my promise. I promise you, we have done everything in our power to prepare them for this mission. And they are exceptional at what they do. There is nobody finer in this world at flying, maintaining, and securing F-16s on the planet. They are simply that good. So I assure you, we've done everything to prepare them for this mission, and I assure that they're ready. And you should be awfully proud of these airmen, ladies and gentlemen. They're exceptional at what they do. To the men and women of the 115th Fighter, I know we had a... Is this on? There we go. I'll stand still. I guess you can't move. I know you've had a lot going on your plate. You've been exceptional in preparing, exercising, training. How many of you, it's your first deployment? Show of hands. Okay, that's a lot of hands going up. If you're anything like me, maybe you got a few butterflies in your stomach. First time going overseas. Those butterflies are normal. You get overseas, it'll take you about half a day. Those butterflies will fly away. All that training will kick in, and you're going to keep doing the same things that have made you eligible to wear this uniform and eligible to be part of this exceptional wing. There is nobody better than the 115th Fighter Wing at what we bring to the United States Air Force. It's our Air Force's 70th anniversary this year. When the Air Force started, the Air National Guard was an afterthought. And over time, we have grown in our importance as a wingman to our active duty Air Force, so that every mission the Air Force has to do, they think about the National Guard and the Federal Reserve. One team, one fight, one standard. I can assure you the Secretary of the Air Force right now, Chief of Staff of the Air Force right now, our United States, and our Governor, who I'm about to introduce, have absolute confidence in your ability to do this mission. So you are ready, you have our full confidence, and I couldn't be prouder in what you do to this country. So thank you for your service. It's an honor to wear the uniform and serve with you. Thank you. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege and honor to introduce to the stage and to hand over the microphone our Commander-in-Chief and our Governor, the Honorable Scott Walker. Sir.
Thank you. There, that works. I won't move either. But standing with this great backdrop, thinking about this flag, makes me think about freedom. I've said it before, endowed by our Creator, defined by our Constitution, but defended each and every day by the men and women who proudly wear the uniform of these United States. To each and every one of you, to all of those who have served in the past and continue to serve today, and to all the great family and friends that support them, thank you. Thank you on behalf of the state. Thank you on behalf of this country for being willing to step up and volunteer to take on this assignment. First and foremost, in joining the Wisconsin Air National Guard, and now in stepping forward to be a part of this deployment. I am, as you can tell by my attire, dressed to go to the State Fair today. It's the start of the 166th year of the Wisconsin State Fair. Normally we start a little sooner. They delayed it today so that I could be here with all of you, with all the families, and most importantly, with the airmen represented here today, because it's that important to make sure you're sent off with style and support, not just from your family and friends, but for my presence being here, not so much just on behalf of Tonette and I and our family, for which it is personally, but also on behalf of the 5.7 million people here in the state of Wisconsin who appreciate your service and your sacrifice and the sacrifices and support of your family and your loved ones who are here. It's interesting because it comes full circle. Yesterday, talk about interesting timing, the ambassador to the United States from the Republic of Korea, from South Korea, was here, right in Madison, at our state capitol, talking about some trade ventures we're doing together and work that we're doing together. And when I introduced the ambassador, I mentioned that many, many years ago, my uncle, Uncle Ken Knoll, was a Korean War veteran, Purple Heart recipient. And I talked about his story and the story of many others in his generation as a Korean War veteran. He passed away a few years ago. Like a lot of our veterans, most of our family and friends didn't even know he was a Purple Heart recipient until he passed away, and it was included in his obituary. But he was just that kind of a guy, that kind of a person, like so many of you, humble and willing to serve. And I said it was interesting. The ambassador didn't know about this, but I mentioned going to this deployment today and saying, you know, I think about my Uncle Ken, and now I think about the next generation of leaders, young and old alike, who are here today. About, 25% of you raised your hand as first-time deployers. I hope when you raised your hand, you looked around at the others who didn't raise their hand, because you know that those airmen, those men and women around you are going to be that great support for you, and do, as General Dunbar mentioned, be ready to help get those butterflies out and get ready to go. Because we're here today to proudly deploy you, because you're the best of the best. Not just the best of those here at the 115th, not just the best of the Wisconsin National Air Guard, not just the best of the Air National Guard, you are the best of the best. That's why you're being sent to where you're being sent. You are the best that this country has to offer. You are the best of the best. You receive the best training. I hope for the family and friends here, particularly for those who've had family deployed before, you know of the training, you know of the expertise, you know of how well they're going to use this, and we just couldn't be more proud of you and look forward. I'm hopeful somewhere along the way, between now and the end of the next 4 months or so, we'll get a chance, because I'll be not too far away. I'm going to try and come over and see you along the way, because it's always nice to see our men and women from Wisconsin when deployed. But I do have something special. I'm going to call up in a minute Bart, who actually I can relate to, because many years ago Bart Van Root, just to test whether or not I could can handle what you guys do, took me up in a tandem. Somehow I passed the test. I didn't puke and I didn't pass out in the F-16. When we get up to about 8.5 Gs, so my eyesight kind of narrowed a little bit, but I had a whole new appreciation, not only for what our pilots do, but for what our maintenance crew does to make sure that those amazing pieces of equipment work. And this coming next week, we'll be in our nation's capital making the plea to the Secretary of the Air Force that the next generation, the F-35, should be right here in the great state of Wisconsin, because we're ready. We have the pilots, we have the maintenance team, we have the crew, we have all the people that can make it work. And so Bart, I've got a special gift for you, and it's perfect because it matches. I still have my flag from the 115 from one of the previous deployments. I carry it in my suit, or today in my jeans, every day to remind me of the men and women who are deployed, not only from this unit, but from all others from across the state of Wisconsin. Because sometimes, I think particularly in our national media, people forget. They heard in the past administration about the drawdown of troops. They heard about changes, and a lot of times, at least nationally, they don't hear about all the other assignments that our men and women and the various their armed forces have. And so it's important to have reminders for us here in this state and across this country of all who are doing the work of freedom. And that's exactly what you're doing. But for you all, I've got this flag, and it's appropriate not only in front of our nation's flag, but as the folks in the audience can see, you've got all the different flags represented here. But at the far end, you've got a replica of the very first flag from the great state of Wisconsin. It came about in 1863 in the middle of the Civil War, when there were 91,000 soldiers from this state fighting far away from our state in the Civil War. And those soldiers thought there should be something from Wisconsin to remind them of their family and of their friends. And so the leaders of that state created a blue flag with a seal on it of the state of Wisconsin. General Dunbar was good enough a few years ago to make that the flag of the Wisconsin National Guard. That's the replica. It appropriately has all the ribbons from the Civil War all the way through today that are on there. And so, Bart, I give you this flag on behalf of all deployed, those with us today and those that are already overseas preparing for the crew to come in. I hope this will remind you of two things. One, I certainly hope for you and all the others deploying, it'll remind you of not only the people here, the family and the friends, but all the rest of us from across the state, who all the while you'll all be deployed, will have you in our thoughts and in our prayers and in our hearts, so that we can see you again at your return home, safe and sound back here in the state of Wisconsin. The other thing I hope you'll remember with that flag is think back to that replica there of the very first flag, and remember those 91,000. 91,000 in the Civil War. That was 1 out of every 9 man, woman, or child in this state was a soldier from Wisconsin in the Civil War. When people ask where those of you who've been deployed many times get that courage to go back again, it goes back to the roots not only of our great country, but of this state, and to those who from the Civil War through World War I, through World War II, through, as I mentioned, people like my Uncle Ken in Korea, in Vietnam, in Desert Storm, and Desert Shield, and now over the past decade and a half really, since 9/11, who've been stepping up, whether it was in Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, or anywhere else around the world. You are part of a fine tradition, not only in this great country, but in this great state of tremendous leaders with remarkable talent and courage. Don't forget how great you are and all those that you represent, and don't forget the people back home who love and pray and think of you every single day. Bart, thank you.
Thank you, Governor Walker and General Dunbar. At this time, I ask that you please stand for the benediction and the Air Force song.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
our ceremony. Thank you for joining us today.